Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. The news goes in waves. We're going to get a lot of Pete Davidson and Eddie Murphy as they have an Amazon movie coming up. Now we're getting a lot of Marc Maron because he's got his special out on HBO on the 1st, plus the documentary, plus his podcast is coming to an end, and he has revealed who he would like to be the final guest. Maron said if we could get President Obama back, that would be good to give us a little hope or some sense of reflection, ground us a little bit. I could see Obama absolutely doing that. That first Obama appearance, I actually use it in my college classes. If you listen to it as a podcaster, when Obama first shows up, he's in President Obama mode. But Maron gets him so comfortable, at one point it's just Barack hanging out in a garage and they're just having a real conversation. And then Obama gets back into presidential mode and I got to get these points in. But in the middle there, it's beautiful how he just gets him out of president politician mode and it's just a guy, whatever your politics are. It's a really interesting study of the art of podcasting. I told you last week that there's bad blood between Maron and Jon Stewart, and Maron has said he won't ask Jon again out of pride. Maron weighed in on Colbertgate, saying the timing was bad. It seems there was a political element, at least in appearance, to a certain degree. The message is that if corporations are going to buckle to the whims of an autocrat and authoritarian, then all the art and what we know as freedom of expression is compromised. The writing's on the wall for late night in general because people don't watch TV like that. I felt like a mixture of both. I don't think it's a complete fabrication that it was a business decision, but the other part of it, in terms of trying to appease this monster president, that should not be done. Show business is shrinking. People are entrepreneurial and building their own show businesses that eventually get appropriated and used by what's left of mainstream show business and streamers. Hopefully enough interest and focus will be put on original productions, film and television. You have to hope for the best, or everything just turns to garbage. Bobby Lee was making some news a few days back, again with Colbertgate and everything else going on. This got a little bit buried. But he told Entertainment Weekly he thinks the reason he wasn't asked back to the new season of And Just Like That was due to the removal of, quote, woke elements. His quote, they try to put minorities in, and I don't know, I never saw the show. He had played Jackie Nee, the podcast co-host of Carrie Bradshaw, played, of course, by Sarah Jessica Parker, on the first 2 seasons of the Sex and the City follow-up series. But he wasn't asked back for season 3. Bobby Lee told EW at Comic-Con some of the woke elements of the show, they got rid of it, and I think that was part of that. I think Sarah Ramirez didn't come back and some other people. They tried to put minorities in, and I don't know, I never saw the show. He points out that the subplot about Carrie's podcast had concluded at the end of season 2 as she refocused on her new novel. Bobby said he was surprised he was even on the show to begin with. He said, number one, I don't even know why they asked, and I was super scared to do it because it wasn't my brand, really, you know what I mean? But I did it. I walked through the fear. I remember going there, being so high and drunk, and when I was reading the script, I couldn't even understand what the F it was saying. I remember saying to myself, this is never going to happen again. I had to get sober. This is insane. Pete Davidson spoke to Jimmy Fallon about Pete Davidson's favorite SNL backstage moment. Pete told Jimmy, you know, when you go under the paint cans, there's that little sign that says, watch your head, Farley. They explained that to me in my first season. I thought it was really cool. Pete explained, Chris Farley used to bump his head when he would run the sketch. So there's a little plaque that says, watch your head, Farley. A little more information about the Riyadh Comedy Festival, September 26th through October 9th. The lineup will include local and international comedians, including some names you know, Andrew Schultz, who was shocked to find out President Trump didn't go through with everything that President Trump had promised. Bill Burr, Gabriel Iglesias, Jessica Kirson, Jim Jeffries, Jimmy Carr, Joe Coy, who once told a horrible joke about Taylor Swift. Should we listen to it? Yeah, let's listen to it.
As you know, we came on after a football doubleheader. The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift.
Kevin Hart, Maj Brani, Russell Peters, Sebastian Maniscalco, Whitney Cummings, Zarna Garg. That's no joke. Margaret Cho is touring. Her new show is called Choligarchy and explains my new show Choligarchy is bringing me back to my roots as a political comedian. I'm so frustrated with the all-caps State of the Union. And I know the only weapon I have is humor. I want to fight fascism with everything I have. This will be my most blistering and brutally honest show yet. Let's tear down racism, homophobia, and sexism with all that we have. Liza Treyger spoke to Interview Magazine. They were curious if she's always been into gossip. Liza said, it's like an immigrant thing. Once you're an outsider, you do more observing. I didn't know what carryout was or delivery. We don't do that. And then I'm at my friend's house and we're getting hot dogs delivered to the house. And I'm like, what is going on? But I was also raised on Access Hollywood Entertainment Tonight and Us Weekly. My high school group was crazy. It was just a bunch of really thin people calling each other fat. And then I was in the corner being like, okay, I guess I'll jump off the bridge. Then I'll tell someone, everyone's mad at you and they don't like you. Then I'd get kicked out of the group for being a bitch. She talked about her previous specials, the half hour on Comedy Central and a half hour on Netflix as part of The Degenerates, and said, and with those, you're kind of playing the game. There's a teleprompter. I had my jokes in order. I had my set list. It felt like a pageant. That's not like I would like to perform. So for the new special, I was very specific, no set list. I knew how I was starting and how I was ending. I wanted it to be a night out in New York watching me do stand-up in a basement. People were eating mozzarella sticks. People were drinking. That's how I love doing comedy. I don't perform in theaters. You know, life does just keep getting worse and worse. First, Marc Maron announced he was ending his podcast. Then Stephen Colbert got fired. And now Adam Sandler is talking about making even more sequels. Oh, no. There's talk of Grown Ups 3. Sandler says when it happens, I got to let you know. I just don't know what we're doing right now, but we're trying to figure out stuff. It would be fun. We're always thinking of some stuff and trying to get us all together. I've heard chatter. Oh, no. I mean, do I have to remind everyone? Do I have to bust out yet another Adam Sandler Happy Gilmore 2 review? Because I've got them. Here's one from Salon. Their headline, the sequel to the beloved 1996 hit, is a tepid-tide reminder that it's okay to move on. Salon writes, of all the dirty, rotten, down-low things Netflix has done, providing a gaping pit of gold coins for Adam Sandler to cannonball into like Scrooge McDuck might be the worst so far. When left to his own devices, Sandler's style of comedy isn't exactly pleasant to ingest in massive quantities. The comedian actor made a name for himself yelling, doing voices, and playing instruments on Saturday Night Live. Juvenile humor was rampant in the 90s, popular with kids and kids at heart for whom growing up was a Peter Pan-level nightmare. Sandler's 1995 comedy Billy Madison is the most flagrant example of this childish style, so packed with immature gags that it threatens to burst, sending Nickelodeon green slime everywhere. I like this. This is a good review. But, as I said yesterday, people have seen the light. I've been out here by myself saying this, and people are coming around now. Salon writes, the 1-2 punch of 2017's The Meyerowitz Stories and 2019's Uncut Gems left viewers thinking that Sandler might be turning over a new leaf, ready to flex his skills as a dramatic performer. That's right. He's a great dramatic actor. More of that, Adam, please. I'll go see your movies. But Salon writes, but in 2020, Netflix and Happy Madison inked another 4-film deal, meaning that Sandler would be tied to the streamer and its increasingly dour cinematic output just when Sandler was finally settling into a more mature era. So people were giving Kathy Griffin the business about how she looked. She had posted on Instagram, just when you thought I was done, I came back better than ever in classic Griffin fashion. I'm happy to announce 2 new upcoming shows this November. Find me in the glamorous Las Vegas on November 8th and Anaheim, November 22nd. In the photo, she was smiling, showing off red wavy hair, full bangs, and a glammed up look. This event, titled New Face, New Tour, and this seems to be a response to a photo the paparazzi took last month. Kathy was just out living her life, seen without her full bangs, sporting long natural hair. She was dressed casually in a white t-shirt. People on social media commented, said, she definitely looks different. You know, sometimes people just want to go to the store. As someone who recently lived in Canada for, was it 5 days that I moved to Canada? I support Canadian comedy. The producers of Letterkenny, they are New Metric Media. They are self-funding, producing, and distributing a slate of stand-up comedy albums and specials known as the A-list. You know, like the Canadian stereotype, but they go A. So the A-list will feature Kenny Robinson, Sabrina Douglas, Ron Jossel, Rebecca Kohler, Jared Nathan, and Kelly Taylor. The guy behind this is Ben Miner. Now, I know Ben because he used to run SiriusXM Comedy Canada, or Sirius Comedy Canada, maybe before the merger. I forget how that all shook out. Anyway, I know Ben, worked with Ben, like Ben. Congratulations, Ben. We used to like working with the Canadians, as we call them, down in New York City. Anytime we went up to Canada, they would let us use their facilities, and they were pretty cool guys. Ben Miner says, New Metric is a world-class one-stop shop for Canadian comedians, and our new stand-up and podcast division lives up to the successes we've had on the scripted side with Letterkenny, Shoresy, and some other stuff. These 6 comedians are absolute humdingers and room-rocking stand-ups. Let's continue to support Canadian comedy. The Toronto Guardian caught up with Devin Henderson. Devin describes her comedy style as very cerebral until I decided to start screaming. Her influences, the cast of early 2000s SNL, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph, Rachel Dratch, etc. Probably did the most to shape my sense of humor. If Tina Fey never existed, I would not be doing this right now. It's impossible to overstate how influential she was for me. Her favorite way to find out about new comedians? I love this answer. She said, do I sound like Father Time if I say live shows? I don't have TikTok. I love to stand at the back of the comedy bar and be surprised by a comedian I've never seen before. Amen, Devin. Nice job by the LA Comedy Club at the Strat Hotel, Casino, and Tower. They're trying to get you to adopt local shelter pets. You should. I have 2 dogs right now, and they are both shelter pets. I've had nothing but shelter pets since 1981. And before that, I didn't have any pets. From now until the end of the summer, individuals who adopt a pet from the Animal Foundation will receive a complimentary pair of tickets to an upcoming LA Comedy Club show. LAComedyClub.com, information there. This is going on through August 28th. And from CruiseHive.com, your home for comedy news. Apparently, a recent guest on the Carnival cruise line there didn't like the comedy show. They complained to John Heald. Apparently, Mr. Heald's job is to listen to your complaints. The complaint said, the entertainment was great with the exception of the 18-plus comedy. We couldn't believe what both comedian entertainers brought up. Incredibly inappropriate for any age. You did hear the part where I just said that the guest said it was an 18-plus comedy. So it was clearly an 18-plus comedy, and the guest clearly understood that, but incredibly inappropriate for any age. The first comedian opened up with the F word, and within the next 5 minutes dropped it at least 3 times. It was racist, and it was cruel. I could not believe that everyone stayed and listened to this filth. Mr. Heald did not identify the performer, but said it's one of Carnival's star performers. The guest said, in my opinion, he should be fired. Politics, sexual connotations, and the use of the F-bomb has no place on a so-called family cruise line. All right, so it's a comedy show. You don't want us to do politics or sex or use the language. I'll meet you halfway on the language. But what do you want? Knock-knock jokes? Mr. Heald explained, being a comedian in 2025 is one heck of a difficult profession. In comedy, most jokes are at someone's expense. Whether it's Hardy bullying Laurel, might want a more updated reference there. I mean, when did Laurel and Hardy last put something out? I'm looking that up. Can we please update our references a little? Wikipedia tells me they were active from 1927 to 1955. Can we find something that's a little more current than 70 years ago? No? Whether it's Hardy bullying Laurel, Jerry dropping a bowling ball on Tom's head, so Tom and Jerry cartoons, been a minute there, or me making a jibe about something in the news, or indeed my weight and my ugliness, the laugh comes at a cost to a victim. The nitty-gritty of this is simple, though. Our adult comedy shows are uncensored. If you're in any doubt, please simply don't go. Now, apparently, the Punchliner Comedy Club makes announcements before each R-rated show that the content may not appeal to all guests. There was also a sign saying the show is adults only. The guest admits that they did leave the show. Mr. Heald said that was probably the best decision. If you don't like a joke a comedian says on one of our stages, please don't demand, don't write on the boards telling them that Mr. and Mrs. Funnybone be fired. Go do something that brings you happiness and joy and a sense of fun. And that is your comedy news for today. If you like the program without commercial interruptions, if you're on Apple Podcasts, click the banner that says uninterrupted listening. If you're not on Apple Podcasts, go to caloruga.com/plus, short version, $5 a month. No ads. Great way to support the show. See you tomorrow.